Good morning, students. Welcome to chemistry class. This is Vivian Razu presenting the today's lesson. Today's topic is the classification of elements and the periodic table. And in this classification of elements, today we are going to discuss the early attempts of classification of elements. What is meant by classification? Classification is nothing but grouping the things into certain groups. What is the need of classification of elements? You know that there are more than 100 elements discovered by our great scientists. All these elements combine in different combinations to form millions of compounds. As the number of elements and their compounds are being increased, it became difficult to study their properties and to remember the properties. Scientists thought that if these elements are classified into a limited number of groups on certain basis, the study and the remembering of properties of these elements and their compounds become easy. So because of that, they started trying the classification of elements into certain groups. For example, when you visit a library, you may find thousands of books in the library. Suppose if you want a particular book, you can't find it easily. But if you ask the staff of library, he will bring that book within a short time. How is this possible? In a library, the books are so arranged in categories and subcategories. The staff of library knows which book is arranged at which position. Because of that, the picking of the required book becomes easy to the staff of the library. In the same way, in a supermarket, several items are available. The items in the supermarket are also categorized into certain groups. You may find all the biscuits at one rack and all the chocolates in some other rack, all the kinds of dals at one place, the kinds of oils at one place, the cosmetics at one place, and so on. This kind of categorization is helpful in locating the object or thing easily. What is the need of classification of elements? If the elements are classified into certain groups, instead of a large number of elements, the study of the elements become easy. That means the classification may help to study them better. The classification may lead to correlate the properties of elements with some fundamental property that is characteristic of all the elements. For example, in the periodic table, the elements are classified on the basis of a fundamental property, either the atomic number or the atomic mass. And the properties of elements were correlated by arranging the elements in the increasing order of atomic mass or atomic number. The classification may be helpful in revealing the relationship between different elements. When we move from one element to the other element, there will be certain variations in the properties, and the variations in the properties can be compared. When we move from one element to the other element, when the elements are arranged in a proper manner. So in this way, the classification of elements is very helpful in studying the properties of the elements and millions of their compounds, and this makes the study easy, and the remembering of the properties of these elements and their compounds also will be easy. The classification of elements had been started even in the prehistorical time. Let us see the early attempts of classification of elements. In the prehistorical time, the Greek philosophers tried to classify the elements. The Greek philosophers believed that there are four basic elements: earth, air, fire, and water. They believed that all the materials in the universe are made up of with these four elements in different combinations. The same kind of ideas were expressed by the Indian philosophers also during that time. According to Indian philosophers or saints, there are five basic elements by which all the materials in the universe are made. They are earth, air, fire, sky, and water. They believed these five fundamental elements as Panchabhutas. All the materials in the universe are made with different combinations of these Panchabhutas. But the idea of the philosophers would not be supported by the experiments. Let us go to another classification on the basis of valence. You know that valence is the combining capacity of an element. Different elements possess different values of valence. That is, they have different combining capacities. After knowing the importance of valence, the scientists classified the elements on the basis of valence as monovalent elements, divalent elements, trivalent elements, and so on. The monovalent elements possess the valence 1. The divalent elements possess the valence 2. Trivalent elements possess the valence 3. In the same way, tetravalent elements, pentavalent elements, etc. But this kind of classification also did not serve the purpose. The reason is different elements are grouped in the monovalent elements or divalent elements or in each group. For example, if you consider sodium and chlorine, both are monovalent elements. The valence of sodium is 1. The valence of chlorine is also 1. But the properties of sodium are entirely different from the properties of chlorine. Sodium is highly electropositive element. It has a high tendency of losing electrons, whereas chlorine is highly electronegative in nature. It has a high tendency of gaining electrons. Though both are monovalent in nature, their properties are not identical. Sodium acts as a reducing agent, chlorine acts as an oxidizing agent. In the same way, in the divalent elements, oxygen and calcium, Both are divalent elements, but oxygen is electronegative in nature, whereas calcium is electropositive in nature. Oxygen forms a dinegative ion, calcium forms a dipositive ion. The properties of oxygen are entirely different from the properties of calcium, and it is the case with the other groups also. Some elements like iron, copper, lead exhibit more than one valence. Iron exhibits two valences, 2 and 3. Copper exhibits two valences, 1 and 2. Lead exhibits two valences, 2 and 4. That means these elements exhibit variable valences. The position of elements exhibiting the variable valences could not be justified in this kind of classification. So this kind of classification could not serve the purpose of classification. Next, Lavoisier's classification. By the end of 18th century, a good number of elements had been discovered. Lavoisier, the father of modern chemistry, discovered several elements and studied the properties of several elements. He classified the elements into two categories, metals and nonmetals. Elements which are malleable and ductile, good conductors of heat and electricity, and possesses metallic luster were named as metals. The elements which are malleable and ductile. You know malleability, the property by which a substance can be made into thin sheets is known as malleability, and the property by virtue of it a substance can be drawn into thin wires is called ductility. Good conductors of heat and electricity, they allow the heat and electricity to pass through them, and possesses metallic luster, that is shining. And the elements possessing these properties are grouped as metals. And the elements which possess the properties opposite to these, that is elements which are brittle, that is not malleable and ductile, bad conductors of heat and electricity, and do not possess the metallic lustrousness, were named as nonmetals. But there are some elements which possess some of the properties of metals and some of the properties of nonmetals. The positions of these elements, like boron, silicon, tellurium, they possess both metallic properties and non-metallic properties. That means they are neither the pure metals nor the pure non-metals. Moreover, more than 80% of the elements are grouped into metals. So this kind of classification did not serve the purpose of classification. The next remarkable classification is Dobereiner's classification. In the year 1829, a German scientist, John Wolfgang Dobereiner, classified certain elements into groups of 3. He named these elements of group as triads. When the elements in the group are arranged in the increasing order of their atomic masses, he observed that the atomic mass of the middle element is approximately the average of the other two elements. For example, lithium, sodium and potassium. Atomic mass of lithium is 7, atomic mass of sodium is 23, atomic mass of potassium is 39. The average of atomic masses of lithium and potassium is 7 plus 39 by 2, that is equal to 23. It is exactly same as the atomic mass of sodium, that is the middle element. Another triad is calcium, strontium and barium. Atomic mass of calcium is 40, atomic mass of strontium is 87.5, atomic mass of barium is 137. The arithmetic mean of the atomic masses of calcium and barium is 88.1, that is nearer to the atomic mass of the middle element strontium. In the same way, chlorine, bromine and iodine is considered as a triad in which the arithmetic mean of the atomic masses of chlorine and iodine, that is 81.25, it is nearly equal to the atomic mass of bromine. From this, he concluded that when three elements with similar properties are arranged in the increasing order of their atomic masses, the atomic mass of middle element is approximately equal to the arithmetic mean of atomic masses of other two elements. This is known as Dobereiner's law of triads. He also observed that the physical processes of the middle element are nearly the average of the other two elements in these triads. But he could not classify all the then known elements in the form of triads. For example, fluorine, chlorine and bromine also possess the same kind of properties. Fluorine, chlorine and bromine also possess the same kind of properties. This can also be considered as a triad. The atomic mass of fluorine is 19, atomic mass of bromine is 80, and the average of the atomic masses of fluorine and bromine is approximately 49.5. But atomic mass of chlorine is not nearer to 49.5. Atomic mass of chlorine is 35.5 only. This law of triads is not applicable to a group of three similar elements, fluorine, chlorine and bromine. In the same way, this law is not applicable to three similar elements, beryllium, calcium and strontium. The elements like iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc, manganese, etc. possess similar properties. All these elements could not be grouped in the form of triads. It was possible to group quite dissimilar elements into triads. For example, the elements like copper, nitrogen and oxygen can be grouped together so that the atomic mass of the middle element is the average of the other two. Atomic mass of carbon is 12, atomic mass of nitrogen is 14, and atomic mass of oxygen is 16. The average of atomic masses of carbon and oxygen is 12 plus 16 by 2, that is 28 by 2, that is equal to 14. That is the atomic mass of the middle element nitrogen. Though it is possible to group three elements so that the atomic mass of middle element is the arithmetic mean of the other two elements, these elements may not possess the same properties. For example, in this triad carbon, nitrogen and oxygen, The properties are not identical. Another kind of classification is de Chang-Courtois classification. De Chang-Courtois, a French geologist, classified the elements in the year 1862. He arranged the then known elements in the form of spiral on the surface of a cylinder. A spiral graph was devised and was arranged on a cylinder. The elements were arranged on the spiral in the increasing atomic weights so that the similar elements lined up vertically. He called this cylinder as telluric helix because tellurium was the element in the middle of the graph. This is the arrangement of elements by de Chang-Courtois. A graph sheet is taken. The elements are arranged in the increasing order of their atomic masses like lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, sodium, magnesium, aluminum, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, potassium, calcium, like this. And this graph sheet, so prepared, is fixed to the surface of a cylindrical drum. And in this, the elements with similar properties lie in the same vertical line. For example, the elements copper and silicon, which possess the similar properties, are on the same vertical line. The elements boron and aluminum, which possess the similar properties, on the same vertical line. The elements magnesium and calcium, which possess the similar properties, lie in the same vertical line. The elements lithium, sodium, and potassium, which possess the similar properties, lie in the same vertical line. But this kind of arrangement did not attract much. Next is the Newland's classification. In the year 1864, John Newland, an English chemist, arranged the then known elements in the increasing order of their atomic masses. He observed that starting from a given one, every eighth element resembles the first element in the properties. For example, the elements lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, sodium, magnesium, aluminum, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine. This is the order of elements in the increasing order of atomic masses. If we start from lithium, suppose lithium is the first element, beryllium second, boron third, carbon fourth, nitrogen fifth, oxygen sixth, fluorine seventh, and sodium is the eighth element. The properties of lithium are similar to the properties of sodium. If we start from boron, boron will be the first element, carbon second element, nitrogen third, oxygen fourth, fluorine fifth, sodium sixth, magnesium seventh, and aluminum is the eighth element. Boron and aluminum exhibit similar properties. That means starting from a given one, every eighth element resembles the first element in properties. He compared this repetition of elements with similar properties at regular intervals by the repetition of musical notes. In the Indian music system, there are 8 notes: sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni. The next note is again sa. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Eighth note is similar to first note. In the Western music system, the notes are do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. The eighth note is as similar as the first note, even in the Western music or in the Indian music. The repetition of elements with similar properties at an interval of 8 is compared with the repetition of notes in the music at the 8th note. So he stated that when the elements are arranged in the increasing order of their atomic masses, the eighth element starting from a given one resembles the first in physical and chemical properties, just like the eighth note on a musical scale resembles the first note. And this is known as Newland's law of octaves. This is the first classification of elements which led to the term periodicity, that is, the repetition or the reoccurrence of elements at regular intervals. Dobereiner's classification is the first classification which correlates the properties of elements with the atomic masses. In the Newland's classification also, the elements are arranged in the increasing order of atomic masses. And another remarkable thing is the introduction of the term periodicity or the reoccurrence of elements at the regular intervals. From this we can understand that the elements with the similar properties reoccur, that is, they come again and again if the elements are written in the increasing order of their atomic masses. But he could not arrange all the known elements in this order. This kind of law of octaves, that is repetition of element at every eighth position, is valid up to calcium only. The elements after calcium were not showing the repetition with the first element. After the discovery of inert gases occupied these positions. After fluorine, neon. After chlorine, we get argon. If the inert gases are also included in this list, then the eighth element will not show the properties of the first element. Next remarkable classification is the Lothar-Meyer's classification. In the year 1869, Lothar-Meyer, a German chemist, studied the physical properties of then known elements. He studied the physical properties like atomic volumes, melting points, boiling points, densities, etc. The atomic volumes were calculated by using the atomic mass and densities. We know that density is equal to mass by volume, or we can find the volume by rearranging this. Volume is equal to mass by density. If the atomic mass is divided by the density, the atomic volume will be obtained. The atomic volumes are plotted on the y-axis and atomic masses are plotted on the x-axis. He got a graph like this. He observed that all the alkali metals, that is lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium and cesium, this is cesium, Cs, occupied the peaks of the curves. You know that alkali metals possess similar properties. All these alkali metals are highly electropositive in nature. All these form monopositive ions. They have a high tendency of losing electrons. And these elements possessing the similar properties occupied the peaks of the curves. The less electropositive alkaline earth metals like magnesium will be here, calcium, strontium, barium occupied the descending portions of the curve. They occupied the descending portions of the curve like this. The halogens occupied the ascending positions. This is the position of fluorine. This is the position of chlorine, bromine, iodine. What are the positions of halogens? At the ascending positions of the peaks. And the transition elements occupied the minima of the curve. These are the positions of transition elements, that is, less reactive metals. From these observations, he concluded that the physical properties of the elements are periodic functions of their atomic masses. That is, when the elements are written in the increasing order of their atomic masses, the elements with similar properties reoccur at regular intervals. The difference between Newland's law and Lagermeyer's law is Newland specified the gap between two elements. He predicted that every eighth element resembles the first element when the elements are arranged in the increasing order of their atomic masses. But according to Lagermeyer, the gap is not specified. They reoccur again and again at certain intervals. That is, when the elements are arranged in the increasing order of atomic masses, elements possessing with the similar physical properties repeat again and again. This is stated as the physical properties of elements are periodic functions of their atomic masses. This is known as Lagermeyer's periodic law. In the same year, that is in the year 1869, Dmitry Ivanovich Mendeleev, a Russian chemist, studied the properties of then known elements, that is 63 elements. He stressed on the chemical properties of the elements. Lagermeyer studied the physical properties of the elements. He correlated the physical properties of the elements with the atomic masses, whereas Mendeleev correlated the chemical properties of the elements with atomic masses. The properties of all the 63 elements were studied and 63 charts were prepared. In studying the properties, he mainly concentrated on the formulae of oxides and hydrides of elements. On the basis of these formulae, the elements were classified into 8 columns and 12 rows. He named this arrangement as periodic table. He arranged the then known 63 elements in this tabular form. These elements are arranged in the increasing order of atomic masses in this tabular form. While arranging the elements, he did not strictly follow the atomic masses. When the properties of the elements are not matching while following the atomic masses, he left some gaps in the periodic table. From the gaps, he predicted that some elements are to be discovered. That means gaps are left to the elements which are not yet discovered by that time. We can observe so many gaps in this periodic table. All these question marks represent the gaps. In the original periodic table, how many vertical columns are there? 8 vertical columns, and there are 12 horizontal rows. He named the vertical columns as groups and horizontal rows as periods. That means there are 8 groups and 12 periods in the Mendeleev's original periodic table. He modified this periodic table and published it first time in the year 1871. The modified periodic table of Mendeleev is like this. In the modified periodic table, there are 8 vertical columns known as groups, and there are only 6 horizontal rows. In this modified table, the 4th, 5th and 6th periods are subdivided into A and B subgroups. There are no A and B subgroups in the first 3 groups, 3 periods, that is first, second and third periods. The elements in the 4th, 5th and 6th periods are subdivided into A and B subgroups. That is first A group, first B group, second A group, second B group, third A group, third B group, fourth A group, fourth B group, fifth A group, fifth B group, sixth A group, sixth B group, seventh A group and seventh B group. And there is no division in the 8th group. There are 3 triads in the 8th group: iron, cobalt, nickel, ruthenium, rhodium and palladium, osmium, iridium and platinum are the 3 triads. That is 9 elements are kept in the 8th group. See the formula of oxides and hydrides of the compounds which are formed by these elements. The first one is R2O, not RO. The formula of oxide is R2O. The formula of its hydride is RH. In the second group elements, the formula of oxide is RO and formula of hydride is RH2. The third group elements, formula of oxide is R2O3, hydride is RH3. In the fourth group elements, formula of oxide is RO2 and the formula of its hydride is RH4. For fifth group elements, the formula of oxide is R2O5 and the formula of hydride is RH3, again RH3 and again RH3, but the formula of oxides are different. RO3 in the sixth group, RH2, and R2O7 and RH in the 7th group, RO4 in the 8th group. So on the basis of this formula of oxides, mainly the classification of elements in the tabular form is done in the Mendeleev's periodic table. From these, he stated that the chemical properties of the elements are periodic functions of their atomic masses. As he mainly stressed the chemical properties, he supposed that the chemical properties of the elements are periodic functions of their atomic masses. Mendeleev and Lothermeyer worked more or less at the same time at 2 different places and came to the same kind of conclusion. Lothermeyer told that the physical properties of the elements are periodic functions of their atomic masses, whereas Mendeleev expressed that chemical properties of the elements are periodic functions of their atomic masses. After knowing the work of Lothermeyer, Mendeleev integrated the Lothermeyer's work with his work and he changed his periodic law as the physical and chemical properties of the elements are periodic functions of their atomic masses or atomic weights, both physical and chemical process. And this periodic law is known as Mendeleev-Lothermeyer's periodic law, or simply the Mendeleev's periodic law. This is the most remarkable classification of elements, and it is easy to remember as it is in the form of a table. The main features of Mendeleev's periodic table are groups and periods. Mendeleev called the vertical columns as groups and horizontal rows as periods. There are 8 groups in the Mendeleev's periodic table, and the groups are numbered, the Roman numbers 1 to 8. Roman numerals are used to numbering the groups. 8th group contained 3 triads. There are 6 periods in the Mendeleev's periodic table. The subdivision of period into A and B subgroups is made in 4th, 5th and 6th groups, and all the normal elements are kept in the A subgroup and the coinage metals are kept in the B subgroup. The normal elements like potassium, rubidium, cesium are kept in A subgroup. The coinage metals, the metals which are used for making coins in those days, copper, silver and gold, are kept in B subgroup. These are the transition elements. Calcium, strontium and barium are kept in A subgroup. These are normal elements. Zinc, cadmium and mercury are in B subgroup. Gallium, indium and thallium, the reactive elements, are kept in A subgroup. Scandium, yttrium and lanthanum are kept in B subgroup. In this way, the elements in each group are divided into A and B subgroups from 4th period onwards. What are the merits of Mendeleev's periodic table? This is the first systematic study of elements. This periodic table attracted the contemporary scientists as it is easy to remember. By using his periodic table, Mendeleev predicted the new elements which are not yet discovered. And after the discovery of those elements, the properties of those elements were exactly matched with the properties predicted by Mendeleev. For example, Mendeleev predicted 3 elements: Eka boron, Eka silicon, Eka aluminum. Eka boron, Eka silicon and Eka aluminum. Eka is a Sanskrit word which means before, that is pre, that is prior to boron. And later on, these elements were discovered as scandium, germanium and gallium. The properties of these elements, scandium, germanium and gallium, were found, and these properties were exactly matched to the properties predicted by Mendeleev by using the properties of their neighboring elements. How did Mendeleev predict the properties of unknown elements? By using the properties of neighboring elements of the gaps, he predicted the properties of elements which are to be discovered, which are to be fit into the gaps, and these properties exactly matched with the properties of the elements after their discovery. By using the periodic table, Mendeleev corrected the atomic weights of certain elements. There are no sophisticated methods for finding the atomic masses in those days. The atomic masses of some elements were wrongly calculated. By using this periodic table, Mendeleev corrected the atomic masses of some elements like beryllium, gold and platinum. For example, atomic mass of beryllium is considered as 11, but he changed it to 9 by using the periodic table. Let us go to the anomalies or defects of Mendeleev's periodic table. Though Mendeleev's periodic table is helpful and identified as the remarkable or very useful classification of elements, it has some anomalies or defects. The first one is the position of hydrogen. In the periodic table, hydrogen is grouped along with alkali metals. Hydrogen is grouped with alkali metals lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, etc. The properties of hydrogen are not exactly similar to the properties of these alkali metals. Hydrogen is a non-metal, whereas these elements are metals. Though both of these possess unipositive ion, both of these possess a tendency of losing of electrons. Hydrogen resembles halogens also in properties. Halogens are fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. It resembles the properties of halogens also. Hydrogen can be grouped either with alkali metals or with halogens. For example, halogens form uninegative ions like Cl- ion. Hydrogen also can form H- ions with metals by gaining of one electron. So hydrogen exhibits the properties of alkali metals as well as halogens. It can be grouped either with halogens or alkali metals, but is grouped with alkali metals only. That is, position of hydrogen is not exactly justified. Next, separation of chemically similar elements. In some groups, chemically similar elements are separated. For example, copper resembles mercury. Copper and mercury possess similar chemical properties. Their chemical properties are close to each other. But copper and mercury are kept in different groups. Copper is kept in the first group along with alkali metals, whereas mercury is kept in the second group along with alkaline earth metals. In the same way, gold and platinum resemble. That means gold and platinum exhibit similar chemical properties. Gold is kept in the first group and platinum is kept in the eighth group. So in this way, the chemically similar elements were separated. Another anomaly is grouping of chemically dissimilar elements. At some places in the periodic table, the chemically dissimilar elements are grouped together. For example, in the seventh group, chlorine is grouped with manganese. Chlorine is a non-metal, whereas manganese is a metal. The properties of chlorine are entirely different from the properties of manganese. In the same way, the alkali metals potassium, rubidium and cesium are grouped with the coinage metals copper, silver and gold. Potassium, rubidium and cesium exhibit one kind of properties which are entirely different from the properties of copper, silver and gold. But all these elements are grouped together. In the same way, calcium, strontium and barium exhibit one kind of properties. The properties of zinc, cadmium and mercury are different from the properties of alkaline earth metals, but all of them are grouped together. The next anomaly is inversion of elements in the periodic table. He stressed mainly on the chemical properties of the elements in arranging the elements in the periodic table. He did not strictly follow the increasing order of the atomic masses. At some places, the elements with higher atomic masses came before the elements with the lower atomic masses. That is, while arranging the elements which possess similar properties in the same group, the increasing order of atomic masses is violated. For example, tellurium and iodine. Atomic mass of tellurium is 127.6. Atomic mass of iodine is 126.9. Tellurium's atomic mass is more than the atomic mass of iodine, but tellurium is placed before iodine. In the same way, cobalt and nickel. Atomic mass of cobalt is 58.93. Atomic mass of nickel is 58.71. The element with higher atomic mass cobalt is placed before the element with the lower atomic mass nickel. He called this kind of pairs as anomalous pairs. The positions of the anomalous pairs are not justified in the Mendeleev's periodic table. Next anomaly is position of isotopes. You know that isotopes are the atoms of the same element possessing different atomic masses. For example, hydrogen has three isotopes H11, H12 and H13. As the elements are arranged in the increasing order of their atomic masses in the periodic table, as the isotopes possess different atomic masses, different positions are to be allotted to the isotopes. In the same way, chlorine 35, chlorine 37 are the isotopes of chlorine. The atomic masses of these isotopes are different, so different positions are to be allotted to different isotopes of chlorine in the periodic table. But it's not mentioned in the periodic table, that is, the positions of isotopes is not justified in the Mendeleev's periodic table. Though Mendeleev's periodic table has drawbacks, it is considered as a very remarkable classification of elements. By using this Mendeleev's periodic table, the long form of periodic table is developed by Bohr and Bury. Let us discuss all these in the next class. Thank you.